Well. Aaron Rodgers is in people's mouths all over again. They're talking about him, but for all the wrong reasons. Well, Peter, we're going to kind of talk about purely the footballing side, what we think about this. So he missed some mandatory days in OTAs. Thoughts, because it's not ideal in my opinion, but I want to. Do you have any bold takes on this?
I mean, for me, he's retired, and basically it's the equivalent of he's stealing money from the Jets, and he found an organization dumb enough to give him the money, which was the Jets, because this doesn't strike me as a quarterback that is seriously thinking about winning a Super Bowl with the Jets. It's a quarterback that's thinking about, you know what, all of this is not important. I'm going to come into the regular season, do what I can. If I can help you win, great. If I can't help you win, I'll ride off to the sunset and retire. Because he never did this with the Packers. In the Packers, he would do whatever he wants to do, but he was always there for the mandatory stuff. There sometimes he missed some OTAs later part of his career, but he was always there for most of the stuff, you know. But with the Jets, it's almost like he is not doing what they expect him to do, because they're expecting all these guys that they have to look at you and to take after your lead. That's similar to what Brady did with the Bucks, you know. That's what they were expecting, and they're not getting that. In my mind, he's retired.
Let me put it this way, right? It's not going to be a pylon or anything like that, but Rodgers, his season last year lasted 4 plays. All he had was preseason and OTAs and the like. No other reps with his receivers. You've got to maximize everything. I'm gonna mention your favorite quarterback, in inverted commas, Brady. This is not the kind of stuff that Brady would do, right?
I think Aaron Rodgers
will do that.
Aaron Rodgers is kind of like carved out like his own path here. I carrying on from what Pete said, I agree. Like, that wasn't something I was thinking about, like the retired mentality. But we're seeing from his actions, this isn't someone that's like, if you prepare for the season like this, are you going to win a championship? Are you going to be ready?
No.
And that's what I think at its core is frustrating Jets fans the most. You're trying to win a championship, and so many things have to go right with a little bit of luck, but you've got to control the controllables. And this isn't like this is mandatory. It's not like you can skip it. If you're a vet, you can come through. Like, Pete, this is to go to your Cardinals. Larry Fitzgerald, towards the end of his career, what was he able to do? He could rock up halfway through camp, right? Training camp. He could rock up because he's earned that cachet with the team he's on. Plus, he understands the playbook. He knows things inside and out. Aaron Rodgers, you've got young receivers. Garrett Wilson, he's the one that's suffering the most. How many reps do you think he got last year? Live reps in a game? Very few. And he's missing out on reps now. This kind of connection, you haven't got like half a season to get that link there. Like, you've got to get it out the gate. Like, don't get me wrong. This isn't Tom Brady's division from yesteryear where there's no other QBs in that division that can play.
It's Josh Allen's division right now.
It's Josh Allen's division right now. So Aaron Rodgers, like, he's meant, like, in terms of his actions, he's acting like he's just going through the motions. I think everyone's speculating where he's at, like he's some kind of a hut in the mountains.
I think I'm going to quote this horrible news organization.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Daily Mail. And I think they said, he was at an ayahuasca retreat or something like that. And it's just
I hope he's not. I mean,
irrespective, right? Irrespective of where on the planet Earth he was, right?
Yeah.
It was a vacation that he was on. That is what we know.
Yeah.
Certain. He knows when the mandatory OTA dates are.
Yeah.
And he is his own person. He organizes his own stuff. So he full well knows what he was getting to when he got into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, hadn't they just fined him for not coming to some of these mandatory stuff? They fined him. And there was one absence that was not like granted, and he missed it.
That was the thing.
And the thing is, what he's showing, think about it, for NFL history, even quarterbacks that were not has not achieved the stuff that he's half of what he's achieved. Every quarterback that gets a major injury like an Achilles, they always have that. I want to come back and prove that I'm still the guy. You know, in the off season, they'll be training, there'll be at OTAs, and you see signs that okay, they're coming back into it. There's none of that. I'm like,
I think
do
especially
you
towards
even
the end of last
care?
season,
Like,
especially towards the end of last season, he was teasing about how he's kind of like on some Wolverine recovery scheme and how he's going to hop back in the last
And
few
he's got, and
games.
he's
I
got it,
You
and he's
build
know,
up
got.
all that hype and you've got a chance to like prove yourself in camp and show that you're
it's
100%
quite
right.
sad.
And now he's like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait. The thing is, like, the Jets, from a team standpoint, they've got a young team. They've got future stars in each position group. Very rarely do you have a unit like that. You've got a potential, like a lot of people are saying Quinn Williams is the next great interior defensive lineman. And, he's not even in his 5th year in the league. Garrett Wilson, a number one, and he's heading into like his 3rd year now. You've got Sauce Gardner. A lot of people will say like he's what right now one of, in fact, the best cover corner, like one-on-one man coverage. I'm not saying zone or whatever scheme, but one-on-one cover. He's elite. Those are the hallmarks of a championship team. And you've got a running back that can go 0 to 50 and score. You've got weapons, you've got tight ends, you've got a solid offensive line that's going to get really good work, like because they're seeing an incredible defensive front in practice. So when you have a really good defensive front, even if you haven't got big names, because you've gone up against the best in practice and training, those guys on Sunday aren't going to surprise you. So I think the offensive line is going to play well. So you've got all these pieces in place. You've got a genuine shot at a championship run. And you're the guy that's not focused. If things go south and they don't play well, I'm telling you, New York, he likes the attention he's getting in New
But
York.
New
I'm
York will
telling you,
eat him
they go
up.
south. If they go south, they will boo him
Yep.
out of there. Forget him walking into the sunset. They won't even let him finish the season. Salah is going to be like straight up, look, I'm going to bench you. And the reality is the New York fans don't care. They want you benched. And that's going to be a new one for him. That's all I'm saying. Because New York doesn't care if you are some superstar QB. If you're not playing well, you're going to get benched.
Samples.
Yeah. But yeah, so as
Well,
I'm saying, the New York media will eat him alive. I'm serious. 100%.
Like knowing New York media, because obviously I pay attention to another sport, US sport, baseball, and how Yankees fans tend to be, how Yankees fans tear apart their own players. They hound their players, some players out of town. I can understand it. I can understand how the frustration is there. The frustration will be there, and it will boil over because the Jets have had nothing for so long.
Yeah,
They've had absolutely nothing.
And they've been teased by hiring Aaron Rodgers with a team that's ready for a run, and it's just being squandered. Granted, like if he comes out the gate, guns blazing, they go 4-1 or 5-0, then it's like, happy days. No one's gonna complain. But if the thing is, you're putting unnecessary pressure on your team because now everything is gonna be under a microscope. Every drop pass, every sack that's allowed. You know what I mean? It's just putting more pressure, especially on the young players and that coaching staff. Salah's a good coach. They've got a good GM, they've got a good coach, and now he's going to be put on the hot seat unnecessarily.
Do you know what's a mad thing? People were talking about Salah, that it was wrong of him to tell the press that he would be that Rodgers would be reprimanded. He was asked a question, he answered it honestly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The question was he supposed to be here? Was it an excused absence? He said, no.
Yep.
Because you are only as good as how honest you are, particularly in the NFL business. In obviously football and spherical football, you can get away with
covering things up,
covering it and keeping it on the inside. This is the kind of thing. He's the most paid player on the team, right? So he is beholden to the head coach. He's beholden to how he wants to run things.
Yeah, Saleh has shown that he'll protect his players, and I think it's almost to a fault because, like, you can tell he's trying to protect Rodgers here. He's saying, "Well, we've spoken through. I understand the situation. he's fine, but this is something that we agreed upon and we were okay with. I'm like, really?
No,
Like,
he
we've
didn't
seen
say that.
it was along those terms. Like
Oh, is that what
they
he
had the
said?
discussion. Yeah, they had that discussion, and he's aware of it.
He's
Okay,
aware of it, but it's not excused.
but it's not excused. Yeah, so
So
I'm kind of like, okay,
he will
cool.
have to pay the fine effectively.
That kind of leaks like, okay, cool. As a head coach, are you kind of starstruck right now? Are you in charge of this
I think that
team?
comes. It's
No,
over his head.
That's what
over
the
his
outside
head.
media. You think that's maybe the
No,
ownership,
I mean,
the ball coming in and sort of saying, "Hey, let's
I don't
our QB. We can't touch him."
No, I wouldn't put a lot. I don't put a lot of blame on Robert Saleh because as the head coach, he's been very honest about the situation, right? And he's trying to say the truth about the situation, and he won't lie to cover stuff up. This is more an indictment on Aaron Rodgers and an embarrassment to him because you are a veteran quarterback. You've been in this league over 10 years. You know how it's done. You know OTAs. You've had quarterbacks. Hall of Fame quarterbacks, you've had coaches and trainers over the years show you how you prepare to begin the season with the rest of your team. So this is expected of you. This is not something that he's out. Robert Saleh being aware of it doesn't mean he's excusing you to go and do all of those stuff. He's not. He expects you to be there to lead the guys. Like, think about it. When Peyton Manning went to Denver Broncos, right? To be the Broncos franchise quarterback from Indy, the first thing they did is get the wide receivers. They're doing workouts, trying to build that chemistry and stuff like that. Yes, Rodgers had injured the first season, but build on that chemistry in the second season. Because I kid you not, most NFL quarterbacks that have successful seasons do say that connections with wide receivers are established in the OTAs, and then you carry over to training camp to test that connection out against your teammates in padded practices. But you build that chemistry from OTAs. That's when you learn the timings. That's when you find out, okay, Mike, it's supposed to 10 yards. You're running 8 yards. I can tell. Run 10 yards.
Yep, and it's also understanding.
That's where you find out those things. Like in OTAs, you can find out that, okay, Mike has a problem running 10 yards. He normally runs about 8.5. So I know where to throw the ball. Yep. You get what I'm saying? You build that up.
Man. It's those small details. We saw that in the Seattle camp.
And Rodgers is costing that to the Jets. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't say guarantee, but I'm pretty confident that because of what's happening, they are not going to have as a successful season as they thought.
Now, it all depends on whether if this behavior continues, then that's going to be a problem. But the thing is, I expect this to have been the 2 day unexcused absence or whatever it was. They'll go through, but how much of an impact it will have later down the line, we don't know because there's still a lot of time and a lot of time to go in the preseason, right?
There's still
there is. I mean, I think all the mandatory mini camps are finished now, and now players are off across the league wait for training camp. I think training camp begins middle of July.
Yeah.
For some teams, I think the Jets. When did the Jets report for training camp anyway?
I seem to recall that Tom Brady, while he was with the Bucks, didn't he have Robert Kraft's was it an engagement party or something like that? Or I think he went away for I think it was like a 2-day thing. He came back straight away.
The same day, straight away.
And he was there real sorry about this, guys. And everyone was like, mate, that's Robert Kraft, man. You've been through so much together.
But what
cool.
Brady had already been doing was all of that offseason, they were doing their own workouts.
Yeah, workouts.
Right? Yeah, they're doing their own workouts. So this is just going to
be... Now, we don't know whether Rodgers was doing his own workouts, but there's no... It doesn't come across as it, right?
No, he wasn't. If he was, we would have heard about it. Gary Williams.
You hear about Mahomes. You hear about Mahomes doing it with even Louis Ritz-Hammett was down with Mahomes and the rest of them doing it. So you hear about a couple of
Aaron Rodgers would have let us know that he's doing these workouts.
Exactly.
If he was doing it, he couldn't wait to tell us about it. So but I don't think he has. They have a good start.
Yeah, they've got to have a good start, otherwise it's going to be a major problem on their hands.
The Jets report to training camp on the 23rd of July.
So it's a month away.
Which is a couple of weeks away. So they're currently off for 1, 2, 3,
another month.
4 weeks off before.
Another month.
Another month. You see, so this retreat or whatever, you have a whole month between the end of mandatory minicamp to do whatever you want to do. You didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I know things can pick up on training camp. We don't know what's going to happen, but if the season is not successful, we can trace back to this. Or if they just do have a successful
It's not going to be the
season,
sole reason. It's just going to be a factor, right? It's just going to be
Yep.
a factor.
But for
I mean,
me,
you're
it is
putting
a
a
major
target on your
factor,
head.
though.
You're putting a target
For
on
me
your head.
personally.
You're adding unnecessary pressure.
And you're adding unnecessary talk to your team, which you didn't need, which was unnecessary. Well, it was completely unnecessary. Anyway, there we have it. Aaron, do you agree with our points on Aaron Rodgers? Do you agree with our points on the Jets organisation in even placating him? Put a comment down below and hit the like and subscribe button as well.